Hi everyone, today is December 2nd, 2017, and this is the Duel Assessment, your podcast for Yu-Gi-Oh! Duel Links. My name is GreenRanger.
And I'm DeckTech.
And it's been a pretty relaxing week, actually. We started the new season in December, new rewards, new card box, actually, late last week, and a new event in the DD Water Tower. So, wrapping up last month, how has your new season been?
Yes, so the new season obviously came on the 1st, so we're just barely into it. And as we talked about last week, after we ended the Kaiba Cup, I was already King of Games. I don't know exactly how that worked, but it kind of moved me up based on my performance in the Kaiba Cup, I guess. And so there was basically no reason to play PvP. I'd already gotten like the easy rewards and didn't feel like grinding for the bigger ones. So I don't think I've played any PvP games this week at all.
Wait a minute. I completely missed the part where you just got the Kaiba, you got King of Games for free. I missed that. I thought you just did it afterwards.
No, that's what yeah, I guess I didn't convey that well. I just kind of like went over to PvP after the Kaiba Cup, and I'm like, I guess I'll get King of Games now that that's done. And I was already King of Games, so I was like, I guess I'm not going to play this game now that that's done. So I've just been auto-dueling like for the past week or two, doing events and stuff, of course. But I'm also over the gem cap still. So at the beginning of the week, I bought myself a good number of Electric Overload packs, but that's a 200 pack box, so I didn't get a ton out of it yet. I didn't want to like spend all of my gems because I knew something was coming, but I wanted to get that the amount that was over the cap, because they expire after they've been in your box for like a month, and I obviously didn't want to waste the gems, so I figured I could maybe start getting into that as I went. And then the new box came out, or the new mini box we're going to talk about in a sec, but kind of torn as to which path I should continue down there. So other things are, I learned that one of my real life friends also plays Duel Links. He saw me as I was auto-dueling, being antisocial at an event, and he was like, oh, you play? So that was pretty cool. I had a dueling on the train moment, except we were on a couch. And
I'm trying
finally
to think of a situation like that where on the show they were in a house or something and they dueled, like in a weird situation at a party or something.
Yeah, it's funny that like that would be weird in the show, but that's exactly when almost everyone does their dueling in real life.
Right.
But in the show, it's like your soul's not at stake, so why would you duel?
Pegasus dueled Yugi on the TV in his house, like through the TV.
There you go. We were in front of the TV, so it's kind of like that.
Yeah.
The last thing is that I'm actually getting a new computer soon, possibly even tomorrow. All the pieces are ordered, and a friend of mine's gonna help me build it. So it's a PC, so I might be able to actually join in the streaming and all of that stuff. So hopefully, fingers crossed, all of that goes as planned.
You start stealing all my views, right?
Yeah, that's right. Hide your kids, hide your views.
That's great, though. Honestly, I don't know how you survived so long without a computer, honestly.
I mean, I have one, but it's just terrible. I basically just use it to hold our show notes so that I can scroll through it while we do this.
Yeah.
But anyway, what are you up to?
Well, last season I got King of Games the real way, I guess. Like, I guess I mentioned that, but this current one, I've just got 10. I think I'm at 9, actually, but in the show notes, we'll just say 10, just to round up. And I haven't moved off of Plat 4, which is the default rank you get. So I guess I'm not winning a ton, but it's kind of like my typical amount. My stats say I'm winning 60%, but right now, I guess it's not 60%. Trying out the new 6 Samurais. I opened the new box one time. I actually saved 11 packs getting everything, so I guess I got through it pretty fast. And want to play the dinosaurs down the road, but the dinosaurs, as we'll talk about, get a card from the season reward, so you'll have to wait for that to get a really optimized list. For the DD Water Tower, I actually finished that yesterday, and some of it was on my stream. I played through that, and I went through the rewards pretty fast for that too. I got 3 of each card at least, and that comes with the extra SR tickets and then some of the past fire tower cards. So, pretty much done with that. And we'll talk more about the event later on.
Nice.
So this week in esports, well, last week this happened. Duel Links Pro 11 happened, and this we touted this as the first real tournament of the post Kaiba Cup meta, and unfortunately we don't really know what everyone played, but all of it is on Twitch. But we do have the first place decks from Vincenity. Vincenity played 2 decks, a balanced Cyber Angels deck and Red Eye's Beatdown, which is pretty much 1 and 2. When you talk about the meta decks, it's 1 and 2 right there. So for Cyber Angels balance, this is the one with Saphira, I believe.
Right. Yeah. So since he's using balance, he's using 6 rituals, which kind of lends you to running Saphira as well. And he also added a Bacon Saver, but added nothing to counter back rows, no Nobleman, which I guess makes sense since he's not running Mind Scan. None of the, Spell Shield type 8, no Econs to counter other Cyber Angels decks. So it's a very focused, I'm doing my rituals and I don't care what you're doing because I've got my own thing going on type deck. Very interesting build, in my opinion.
I guess Bacon Saver is the back row. It's just the one, if it's in the graveyard. Yeah.
The one protection.
And the Red Eye Zombie Beatdown is as Chaos Hunter. That's the mystery card, the Chaos Hunter. And now the Red Eye Zombies have Storm. That seems to be one of their default cards because they have the extra insights, I believe. That's why they run Storm to clear the back row. Otherwise, pretty standard. 2 Red Eye Zombies set up. Yeah.
Cool. He also runs the one Chalice. Is that normal these days? Have you even seen that?
I haven't played Red Eye Zombie in a while, but I wouldn't say it's 100%. I would assume Wall of D or something. Some other type of card, but I guess it's interchangeable against the annoying type of decks. Definitely counters them. Chaos Hunter, though, I haven't really seen that in PvP. But we were excited about the potential of it just coming out of your hand, like the Cyber Dinosaur, which never saw play, but does the same thing.
Yeah, it's interesting. This is kind of how I like to build my lineups for events and just for playing in the game, where I have kind of meta decks, but with my own little spin on it. So I like his lists. They're fun.
And also the Reddit Mentor-Mentee Tournament. So this was the interesting one that we brought up last week. I closed my notes. The one we brought up last week, where there was a King of Games player who was comboed with a new player who was just started the game within a month, and the new player was the one who was playing the game actually, and he was just getting coached by an experienced player. So first place of this tournament was Pyongyang, a very relevant place nowadays in news. The players' names were James and Sly. James was the player, I believe, and Sly was the coach. Yep. And they're playing Ancient Gears. This is a two tribute setup, so there's 2 golems and 2 beasts. So that's kind of heavy in terms of that. Typically, you do run the 2 golems. Beasts are kind of, you go all in with the beasts, or you have 1. But this one's pretty heavy, and the reason is because there's a lot of stall. There's 2 Pulse Mines, 2 Wall of Ds, Windstorm, 2 times Rare Metamorph, and Floodgate's pretty normal, but just a lot of protection to get these guys out, I guess.
Yeah.
Yep, go ahead.
Pretty good. Nothing. I was just gonna say, it looks pretty good. Like you said, lots of stall.
It's pretty funny how this is like a new player's collection. Like they have 3 econs. Well, I guess the econs came free with the Mokuba event, and they just opened up. They just got they have 2 Electros. I guess that's kind of something.
Yeah, I wonder if the coach also like coached them like, hey, we need to get some gems and buy this box or whatever, or if it was just show me what cards you have and we'll make something here.
Or he was Bandit Keith, and he literally gave him his cards. He gave Bones his cards. Second place is Dealy Man team. The player was Dealy Man, and the coach was Captain Jack. Gladiator Beast, Mindscan. This one you could kind of see is a limited collection because they don't have half shots, and they kind of replaced it with the Rush Recklessly as a new card, I think.
Yeah, I mean, you definitely, well, not definitely, but as a new player, it's hard to go back and buy the
Age of
what is
Discovery?
that? Ultimate Rising. I think it was
Rising.
Ultimate Rising. But either way, I mean, it's a really old set with few cards that are currently relevant, and especially buying it for half shot would feel kind of bad. So that makes sense to me.
You don't want to get the Axe Raiders over and over again.
Yeah, that'd be rough. I have like 5 of them, so it was rough.
Third place is a team 3.14 / Mr. Platt, but the team was actually 3.14 and Mercury. Mercury was the coach, and they played a more refined version of Gladiator Beast. It's also a Mindscan version. The last one was also a Mindscan version. This one has the 3 impenetrable attacks instead of the Rush Recklessly. That's the main difference here.
Cool.
And finally, 4th place, the Duck's Flame. This one is a really, free-to-play type deck. It's a beatdown. Oh, the team is Bionic Slam and Kaz. They use the Fields of the Warriors, Joey, which is the Sagan field for free. And it's just a general beatdown deck. You get a lot of 1800 attack guys, some 1850s, some 1700s in the Enraged Battle Ox. This is like a really beginner deck, like your good cards deck. You would run Ryoku, but they do have Magical Arm Shield, and Draining Shield, I believe, yeah.
Yeah, so this is, like you said, it's a very typical new player type deck. It's interesting because the Ancient Gears, of course, are a new player type deck in that they're free. And I guess if you started within the last month, you could very well have Cyber Angels too. So it's kind of interesting we didn't see that. But regardless, this is kind of the type of deck that you would expect to see. And the fact that the other 2 guys were Gladiator Beasts makes some sense because all of that comes from one box. So it's very budget and it's one of the newer boxes. So all of the new players maybe would be buying that one.
Let's say you started playing the game within the last month. Do you think you would know how to play Cyber Angels? Or are the mechanics too difficult, or would you not know to play it?
Well, I'm thinking they had 1 week with the coach. So if the coach is really devoted, and if the team is really I don't know, for some reason they're really motivated to do this, then for sure, because that's, you could spend, it only takes a couple hours really to learn it. And I think more time would be spent making sure that they actually got all the pieces and that they could farm it and could actually build the deck. But I don't think it's a terribly complicated deck to play at a moderate level. And even at the highest level, I think a player who has a knack for card games and stuff could pick it up without too much issue.
I have a feeling the limitation was the Senjus and Sonic Birds. I feel like, or Alexis being level 40. I think that those were the main things.
Yeah, that's a good point about the Senjus and Birds. New players probably don't have those. I forgot that I had already, when I picked it up, had already gotten a few of those. So it's not really a free-to-play deck if you haven't played for a while. Or it still is, but not within 1 month.
Yeah, it's just the thing about the buying the old set issue and getting bad rare cards or SRs, the other cards, I guess.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was pretty. Apparently it went really well, so it's great to see that tournament do well. And we have the whole recap there from Reddit.
Yeah, it's nice not only to see the tournament do well, but specifically this tournament because it's kind of like designed to grow the community, help new players join. So you love to see that.
Yep. And going on right now or soon is the actual Reddit tournament, the No Memes tournament. That's what we're calling it. Um, Standard tournament, no rules, no special gimmicks. $10 in prizes though. So we'll see how that one goes.
Yeah, so this will be interesting. I mean, there's constantly new cards coming out, so every meta, every week is a slightly different meta, but it's interesting to see if the Reddit meta will be different from the Duel Links Pro meta, because they'll both be, quote, serious tournaments happening right after the Kaiba Cup. So we'll be interested to see if we can learn more about the Duel Links Pro, and then also what we can learn about the Reddit one.
Yeah, Duel Links Meta one is happening next week, and that's like the $2,000 in prizes type one. I assume the main difference is ninjas. I feel like ninjas is more of a Duel Links Meta thing, and they're very hard to play. I think that'll be the main difference, but maybe people on the Reddit, yeah.
I could see that too. And the other thing is that the Duel Links meta tournament will usually shape the meta. So if there's anything new to come out, I wouldn't expect it to come out and really take too much of a hold from these other smaller tournaments. But if something comes out of nowhere, if we end up getting like a Six Samurai build or something, I assume that it would most likely come from the Duel Links meta tournament, because that's kind of the thing, I guess, that everyone pays attention to and NetDeck's based on.
Yep. Alright, so we're going to talk about the main PvE event this week, and that's the DD Water Tower. It's the second such event after the Fire Tower that happened a while back. And, it's not the best event. I don't think it could ever be amazing, but there are some major improvements this time. And that's the DD Invader. So what's the DD Invader?
So he's a guy, I haven't noticed any pattern or anything, but every once in a while when I'm in the tower and I'm about to start a duel against some other character, he'll just kind of pop up and I guess invade the space. And you have 1 hour worth of time during which you can duel him. And in my experience so far, he's been really easy every time, and he always gives you 2 of the mission points, or whatever they're called. And so what I really like about it is that it makes it so that you can, almost anyone can get all of the cards that are offered during the event. It makes it much easier to do that because they're infusing all these extra mission points into the event through this kind of recurring random battle.
Yeah, I noticed some other changes. The stipulations aren't as extreme as they were in the Fire set, I think. I mean, sometimes I do switch out characters, I switch to Cyber Angels if they need me to use more spells or inflict 7,000 points of damage, things like that, but in the Fire one, I found myself completely changing my deck every single time, and this time I would just switch out 3 or 4 cards to meet the adjustment. Sometimes I didn't even have to. Sometimes my deck just was good enough.
You're such a good boy. You're actually doing the event. I was just auto-dueling it. But maybe that's why you're done with it and I'm still stuck in the middle.
And they had really funny dialogue this time, too, between the characters.
That's good.
Yeah,
Oh, sorry.
Oh, go ahead. What were you saying?
I was going to move on to the one that's relevant, the one prize.
The one prize. That is
Siren Orca.
Siren Orca. Last week we talked about all the Gishki cards, so those are some of the rewards. But this is the one that we didn't see last time. It's a 2200 attack, 1000 defense, 5-star winged beast. If you control both fish and winged beast monsters, you can special summon this from your hand. When you do, you can declare a level from 3 to 5. The levels of all monsters you currently control become that level. If you activate this effect, monsters you control cannot activate their effects for the rest of the turn except for water monsters. So obviously, this card's not very useful at all, because you're not going to be running a fish in Winged Beast deck. But down the line, when there are XYZ or XZ's monsters, they kind of do require you to have, like this many fishes or this many winged beasts to make the XYZ monster. So I'd say hold on to it till down the road when XYZ comes out.
Yeah, I mean, definitely don't trade away copies that you
trade it for
use,
trade it for a UR stone.
Yeah, don't do that. So it's good.
Yeah, this is the one that we're only getting one of anyways. So like you can't get multiples of this.
Right.
So it'll just be sitting around for a while unless you're trying to make a really fun deck in casual mode to face Cyber Angels or burn decks in casual mode.
Yeah, there's so many cards in this game that I just don't even really remember exist because they were never relevant. And so they're just sitting in my collection, sometimes multiples of them because they were part of some event or whatever, and I just don't even know about them. So there's so many cards, it's hard to even keep track of them. One day I'll have to go through my whole collection and see if there's anything good in there that the whole community slept on.
Yeah. The new mini box was released on the 27th, so it's been, a couple days since then. And this box that initially got a lot of hype from the Duel Links meta community. I was on the Discord, and everyone was saying, "Oh, this box is so good," but eventually the excitement kind of tapered down after everyone just took a day for the excitement to wear off. And yeah, a lot of these cards I actually saw before because they were odds and ends from Datamined, and they were planned to come into the set. So all the 6 Samurais, I knew they were coming, but this is the box where they came, and now the Datamine's completely clean. So we're going to talk about the cards. The 6 Samurai archetype. So this version that we have in the game so far is a very light version of the real thing, and they took out some of the really strong monsters, actually. Just know that it's a control style, so you're controlling the board monsters and controlling the back row, and also controlling how many spells your opponent plays. So that's, if you're not going to play it, just know that it's a control deck. Main card of the archetype, and the guy in the box is Great Shogun Shen. It's a UR 2500, 2400, 7 stars. If you control 2 or more face-up 6 Samurais, you can special summon it from your hand. Your opponent can activate 1 spell or trap each turn. If this card would be destroyed, you could destroy another face-up 6 Samurai you control instead. So the difficulty of this card, it seems like it's a really strong card because Cyber Angels, for example, would just keep recycling and you would just limit them down to 1 card. In any deck, the main advantage in Yu-Gi-Oh! Is playing multiple spells and traps each turn because there's no mana limit to doing that. So it's a really strong ability, but the problem is getting him out on the board, and if it's too slow.
Yeah, it's interesting. It's limited, of course, by the fact that we only have 3 monster slots. So if you have 2 6 Samurai, then he's taking up that 3rd one. And it means that you have to have a very devoted deck to it. And as we've seen in this game, sometimes matches end on, in 1 or 2 turns. So it's a little bit hard to get that second guy down and make him stick. But I do like that he's a special summon, so as soon as you get that second one, you could just plop him down immediately.
Yeah, the main problem with 6 Samurais is speed. They seem really slow. And the ways to special summon guys are not amazing, and that's what makes this archetype not that good.
I saw someone talking on Reddit about adding double summon to their deck so that they could do it all in 1 turn.
It's common.
Which would be interesting. I like that.
There's different opinions on double summon. I don't have it, so I can't try it.
I'll have to try it out maybe. Did you play this archetype back when you played the physical game?
No, I was way before you, so I guess this was after you too. So
Yeah, I didn't I didn't know this one, but cool.
yeah, Anishi, Shen's Chancellor. This is an SR. SRs and URs are the same because you only get one in each box, but he's a little weaker, 2200, 1200, but he's not for attacking. Must be special summoned by banishing 2 6 samurais from your graveyard. Can't be special summoned any other way. So this guy definitely clogs up your hand a lot. Once per turn, you can target one face-up monster, destroy it. This card cannot declare an attack the turn you activate this effect. So as I mentioned, he clogs up my hand because I played the balanced version, and if he's in your hand in the beginning, that's just a waste. And it's great. It's a free special summon because you use your graveyard monsters, and it's not dependent on what's on the board. So you kind of want your guys to die and trade off and get this guy out. He's really slow, but definitely a strong ability to destroy a monster each turn. The problem is it's a face-up monster, too. Yeah, in current builds, like, current decks seem to choose between Shen or Anishi. Like, they kind of choose which one you want to take.
Interesting, because they don't seem mutually exclusive. In fact, Shen can kind of help you get... Anisi can help you get Shen out more easily in certain circumstances because it'd be, you are top deck mode or something and you've got only 1 6 samurai on the field. You can play one as your normal summon and then you can special summon Anishi and then you can special summon Shen. So
I don't think he counts.
Oh, I see. Yeah. That's why.
Yeah,
that makes so much more sense.
The other 7 are 6 samurais.
That's odd, but yeah, okay. All right, I see.
Yeah. So, like Decade, for example, he made a video with 2 Shoguns, Shens, and no Anishis. The guy who got King of Games had Anishi and no Shoguns. So that's the version I'm playing. I'm playing the one Anishi version. So we don't know what's the best right now. So there's some support cards and they're not very good. Shen's Castle of Mist is a field spell. When a 6 samurai monster is attacked, the attacking monster loses 500 attack during the damage calculation only. So the only way that you would fall for this trap is if you don't know what the card does, and you declare an attack and then they start losing the attack and they die. There's no other, like, no one would willingly hit into a guy knowing they're going to lose 500.
Yeah, not if it's going to be a negative trade for them. So, yeah.
Yep, not very good. This is a big one, a 6-strike triple impact. It's a magic card. I'm going out of order here.
Yeah, we missed Swift Strike Armor.
So Swift Strike Armor is one of those cards that helps you special summon cards. I think Decade runs this one. It's a continuous trap. During your draw phase, each time you draw a 6 samurai monster, you can reveal it and special summon it. So this lets you cheat out an extra guy if you draw it, and it makes the way for Shogun, definitely. Great Shogun Shen. And I guess the problem is half of your deck is 6 samurais and half of it is not, so it's just dependent on whether you draw it or if you draw a back row, I guess.
Yeah.
6 strike triple impact is a magic card. If you control 3 or more face-up 6 samurai monsters, you can activate one of these effects. Destroy all face-up monsters your opponent controls, destroy all face-up spells and traps they control, or destroy all set spells and traps your opponent controls. So you have to have the 3 6 samurais out, and it seems very win more. It's like Ojama Delta Hurricanes, like one of those cards. Like, you wouldn't really run it unless, like, I don't see this being used.
Yeah, maybe what's the name of that card that you can play a magic without having to meet the conditions?
Oh, it's a Aster card.
Yeah.
Diamond Dude? I forget who.
Yeah, that sounds right. I think that might be it. So maybe that's where you play this.
Yeah, we still haven't seen that. That seems like such an amazing deck to play. But I still haven't seen it yet, yeah.
Yeah, me neither. Maybe that's what I'll try out for this PvP next week. So that seems like one option. I guess another option is if you're trying to just go for a one-turn kill or something with your six samurai somehow.
Yeah, you can have like the
Because
tie that binds or something.
yeah, I don't know. You're right that if you have three out, you have control of the board, so it doesn't seem like you really need this. But maybe if you're just like getting all three out for this one turn or something like that,
Yeah.
this will be like your burst potential. But even then, it's not that great because there's a lot of they could activate a lot of cards in response to mess you up if you do that. Whereas if you had if you could do it and then play the three, then you'd be in a much better spot. So I'm not sure.
Yeah, maybe if it does show up, it's just like a one of type card. Like most of the time, it's just not gonna activate. That's the issue with it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Copy Knight. This isn't used, but it's a continuous trap. Whenever a level 4 or lower warrior monster is normal summoned to your side of the field, you can special summon this card as a normal monster. It has the same name and level as the normal summoned monster. So it's a warrior with no attack, no defense, and it's light. This card is also still a trap card. So basically it gets you a clone name, and that counts as a 6 samurai for Shogun. That's the only use I could see for this card.
Yeah.
It's funny that there's more trap monsters coming into the game.
Yeah, I think before, like early in the game, they were super powerful, and so they limited how many there were. But now that the game's progressed to, with all the special summons and so much happening, they're just significantly weaker than they were early on in the game, so it's not really a big deal.
Yeah.
But like I remember Bluff Trap back when we started the game. I still don't have it, but it's been like the chase skill that I've been trying to get forever because it was like super strong and cool back in the early tournament days when you could cheat out your one tribute monsters and stuff.
I still don't know what Bluff Trap does, so.
No one knows. It's okay.
The Immortal Bushi. This is a SR. 1200, 600, 3-star warrior. While this card is face up on the field, it cannot be tributed except for tributes summoned for a warrior-type monster. During your standby phase, if this is in your graveyard and all monsters in your graveyard are warriors, you can special summon it to the field. Yeah, you must control no monsters to activate and resolve this effect. So it's like a warrior, a treeborn frog. It just lets you cheat out like a 5 and 6 warrior, like a Destiny Hero, Silent Swordsman, Freed, None of the Red Lotus. It's not going to be ever like a really popular card, but it will fit into whatever warrior deck that needs some kind of tribute, I guess.
Yeah, so the problem with this is that it doesn't count as a 6 samurai, so that would be like really strong if it did, because then you can make sure that you have your 3 that you need. But since it doesn't, it's not like that good. I guess the difference is that you can have 2 come back, or 3 even, I guess, but Treeborn Frog, you can only have 1, right? Come back on a turn?
This one says you must control no monsters to activate and resolve the
okay,
sources.
Yeah, so it's the same thing. So, yeah, I guess I don't really think this is really that good.
Yeah, it's not that meta.
Yeah.
He's like a wannabe samurai who's like
he
dead.
Is.
Yeah.
It's so sad.
Fire Formation Gyakko. This is a continuous magic card. Activate this card by targeting one set spell or trap card in your opponent controls. Your opponent cannot activate the targeted card in response to this card's activation, so it locks it down completely. While this card is face up, that set card cannot be activated. All Beast Warrior type monsters you control gain 100 attack. So it's like Shinzeng Hu, but one card and they can't counter it.
Mm-hmm.
It plays into the full lockdown board with Shinzeng Hu and Ojama King.
Yeah, there you go. Just completely lock them out of the game.
Yeah, and it's part of the Fire Fist family, which came into the last set, so I don't know much about that archetype, but it's one of those cards that work for it.
Yep.
Alright, let's talk about Harpies. Did you play a lot of Harpies back then? I forget.
I did, yeah. I played a moderate amount of the normal harpies. I played the relinquished harpies thing, and I even played like various other decks that just ran harpies to take advantage of the other side's harpies hunting ground. So I've had a moderate amount of experience with harpies. It's nice to see them back.
All right, I'll let you talk about it because I still don't have harpies hunting ground. Uh, Harpy Dancer. This is the main good card for Harpies. It's an SR though. 1200 attack, 1000 defense, 4-star winged beast. You can target one wind monster you control and return it to your hand. Then you can normal summon one wind monster. You can use this effect. You can only use this effect of Harpy Dancer once per turn. This card's name becomes Harpy Lady while it's on the field or in the graveyard. So obviously the good thing about this is it lets you trigger 2 Harpies Hunting Ground activations in one turn, right?
Right, yeah, that's kind of the whole point of it. You mentioned before the show that you could also do stuff like reusing Sonic Bird, which is pretty cool. I like the card a lot. The problem is that, with the Harpies Hunting Ground nerf, it's hard to justify running Harpies Hunting Ground. And also, a lot of decks these days just don't rely very much on the back row, which is kind of interesting. You have a big split, I guess, where some decks rely on back row stuff a lot, and then some decks don't rely on it at all. So I think it would be significantly better in some matchups than in others. But this is the type of card that I really like, where it's like recycling resources and cheating out guys and all of that type of stuff. That's my jam. So I'm really excited about this one. I might try Harpies again.
And the other card is Cyber Harpy Lady, another cyber card. There's not really cyber about her, except she's wearing like Xena metal breastplate armor. 1800 attack, 1300 defense. Effect monster. This card's name is always treated as Harpy Lady. So it's just a Harpy Lady with 1800 attack, and it's not normal. So it becomes 2000 with the Harpies Hunting Ground.
Right. Yeah, it's just a beater. I mean, you've seen, obviously the Harpies are kind of weak. The 1300 attack, the Harpy Dancer has 1200. Yeah, so this is a way to make them more competitive, just in terms of normal board presence and trading, which is something that's kind of becoming less and less relevant in our current meta, but before, back in their heyday, they were running like Sonic Duck for the same reason, where you just want a beater to help close out games, to help you make efficient trades, all of that. And this is a good card to do that as well. It used to be relevant that the Harpies were normal monsters, and as was Sonic Duck and stuff, because you would do things like you would run the Order to Charge, and maybe you would run Knight of the Red Lotus. And the Order to Charge is no longer really relevant, and you can probably do without Knight of the Red Lotus, especially if you're running the Harpy Dancer. You kind of get the same feel there. So I think that's an okay trade-off, and it might be worth it to be able to trade more efficiently with like dinos and those few decks that do kind of fight for the board.
So based on this assessment, let's consider 2 scenarios. Cyber Angels is left as is, or there's some kind of nerf to Mind Scan, some kind of nerf to Cyber Angels. Let's say there's a nerf. Where would Harpies be if Cyber Angels got nerfed?
Well, if Cyber Angels got nerfed, then I think Tomb Barrel Dragon would come back, because that's like they're the reason why that very strong archetype is not around. And Harpies seem pretty strong against that, because they can obviously kill the Toon World, and even if it's fairly protected. So they might be able to make a comeback based on that scenario. I think obviously Ninjas and Red Eyes are also just kind of right behind the right behind Cyber Angels in terms of power, so they would obviously step up. But I think the maybe less obvious step up would be the Tomb Barrel Dragon, and Tomb Barrel Dragon was really good against Red Eyes back in the day,
Right,
when
yeah.
it was in its heyday. And I still haven't really played ninjas or played a ton against it, so I have no idea what its matchups are like. So I can't really comment on that. But there's a chance that they would come back if Cyber Angels dies. But I don't even know if a nerf to Cyber Angels would kill Cyber Angels, because I think the most obvious nerf would be to limit Dakini to 1. But if you do that, then you just add Sephiras. So I don't think Cyber Angels would go away if it got that nerf either.
You're talking about ninjas reminded me I got my ass kicked by Andy Sang, who shows up on the Duel Links meta tournaments.
Nice.
Ninjas. Yeah, ninjas. It was my first time playing Six Samurai, so I didn't even know what the cards did. Like, I don't know what Zanji does. That's kind of my downfall. And he destroyed me with ninjas.
Yeah, I've watched like DK playing a little bit of ninjas, and he was just doing so many things. And I'm like, man, I don't even know what these cards do. So, and it seemed good.
Yeah, it's just getting that UR, because the other guys are just rares. The Black Dragon Ninjas are rare, so like, it's just getting that transformation card.
Right.
Alright. Powerful Rebirth. This is probably the best card in the set. Just in terms of use. It's a continuous trap. Activate this card by targeting one level 4 or lower monster in your graveyard. You can special summon it. Increase its level by 1 and its attack and defense by 100. When that monster is destroyed, destroy this card. So, we had some resurrection abilities with normal monsters, but this is the first one that lets you get an effect monster back.
Yeah, it's a really interesting card. I like also the level up bonus is interesting. Certain decks care a lot about that, including decks with beatdown and ninjas and stuff. So there's some interesting uses there. It's also, I don't have it up, but based on the way you read it, it says if the monster dies, then the trap dies. But if the trap dies, the monster does not die.
Nope,
that's
you get to reuse the trap as an effect.
Oh baby!
Like
so
for
yeah,
Storm,
there's that.
yeah.
There's that too.
This is like the closest thing to Monster Reborn we have so far, I think. Until like Call of the Haunted gets here. Call of the Haunted can do any monster. This one just does 4 or lower, but every deck runs level 4 or lower typically.
Yeah, I mean, pretty much every deck. Not every deck would want their 4 lowers back, but
right, yeah.
But yeah, it's definitely very powerful.
Yep. And the card that kind of plays with it is Parallel Twister. This is another good card from the set. Normal magic card. Send one other spell or trap you control to the graveyard, then target one card on the field and destroy it. So it's like a built-in Wild Tornado / Storm, but it could take out any monster. And if you combine it with Wild Tornado or Big Bang Shot, you can destroy 2 cards.
I tried to warn you. It does not work with Wild Tornado.
Because, oh, man.
It's because this is one of the send cards as opposed to destroy. So it works with Big Bang Shot because Big Bang Shot says when it leaves the field, then the effect happens. But Wild Tornado says when this card is destroyed. So it's one of those little tricky points, but it's come up a few times now with a couple cards before this. So I'm almost certain that it doesn't work with Wild Tornado because it hasn't worked in the past.
I'm glad I made that mistake live on air so everyone can learn.
That's right. That was a well set up fake mistake on your part so that we could teach the audience.
Yep. In the Ninja deck I do run these 2 cards in conjunction just because I don't have all the cards for the other guy's deck. But Parallel Twister works great with Powerful Rebirth as it gets left on the board for no reason. So,
yeah, that is good. I like it.
I'm also hoping for Handless to become a thing because that's what I played during the Kaiba Cup, and this is a handless card because you have so many of those Dimension Gates left over.
Yeah. Yeah, it's good stuff. I like it.
Yep. All right, Sabersaurus. Dinosaurs are back. 1900 attack, 500 defense, Earth monster. That's all. That's all it is. And dinosaurs, all they do is want more attack. They run, Oxygeddon for no reason. It's an effect monster. You never use the effect just because it has 1800. This guy has 1900.
Yeah, just good stuff right there.
Yep.
They're one of those few decks that we were just talking about that are still kind of fighting for the board in the old fashion, as opposed to just having powerful effects and flooding it through special summons and stuff. So they definitely need bigger and bigger guys to compete with all of these powerful effects that are cheating, as it were.
And he only has 500 defense, but if he gets flipped over, he dies anyway, so, it doesn't matter if he has, 1,000, so whatever.
Right, yeah, the difference between 500 defense and 1,000 defense is pretty much none, because there's very few monsters with 700 attack or something that are actually going to be attacking into stuff.
Yeah. They go for your face. They're in the burn decks where they attack you directly. They're not for attacking monsters.
Yeah.
Alright, let's talk about the 7 6 samurais, because there's actually 7 of them that are in this game. Zanji. This is a light monster, 1300 defense. At the end of the... So the 6 samurais have a gimmick where if there's another one on the field with a different name, you get to use an extra ability. So that's the 6 samurai ability. This card is, if this card attacked, destroy the monster that this card attacked. You must control another 6 samurai. If this card would be destroyed, you can destroy another face-up 6 samurai. So that's a secondary ability where they get to destroy another monster instead of themselves. And this guy's effect is kind of like Yomi's ship. That's the closest comparison, I think.
Yeah,
and it happens at the end of the damage step, yep.
Or the Sasukis, right? That attack like a face down, it automatically kills the face down.
Right. This one you actually have to take the damage though, so the attack has to go through. That's the...
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah. So this guy's a little tricky because if you try to sacrifice another guy, let's say I have a Zanji and an Iru, and I say I'm going to attack this 2000 attack guy, and I'll sacrifice my Iru instead of my Zanji, the effect doesn't work because the Iru's gone, and you need another guy on the board for the effect to work. So it's kind of like a chain that the guy dies before he hits through, so they both die.
Yeah, it's not good. Don't do that.
I've done that. I'm not doing that anymore. I've learned my lesson. But this is the best one. Best 6 samurai card. You should have 3 or 2 of them just for the offense. Yaichi. 6 samurai Yaichi. This is a water, 1300 attack, 800 defense. And he has the same abilities, except he destroys a set trap card. Set spell or trap card. So he's kind of the back row guy, and you definitely run this guy, because you don't run Sergeant Electro, so it's kind of like the version of Sergeant Electro. You get to control the back row.
Right. It's also similar to Ice Barrier, where they have the same idea, where you have your specific, theme or whatever, your clan's version of some sort of back row protection, because you definitely don't want to be attacking into stuff without having some protection from it.
And 6 Samurais is a very controlled deck, and this is the linchpin of the deck, to have back row control.
Yeah.
Iru is 1700 attack, 1200 attack, dark, and his ability is to automatically destroy a face-down defense monster. And you see a lot of people running 2 times Floodgate Trap Hole just because of Iru. The version that I run doesn't run Floodgate Trap Hole, and it just runs 2 Irus. It's kind of debatable how useful he is, but he is the second strongest attacker.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see. This is the honorary version. This is the honorary member of the 6 Samurai, but she is a 6 Samurai because she counts as the other 2 whenever you're summoning something, or you could sacrifice her, so she counts. Hand of the 6 Samurai. Fire, 1600 attack, 1000 defense. If you control another 6 Samurai monster, you can tribute one of them and target one monster in the field and destroy it. And she counts herself, so you could tribute her when you summon herself, and it could destroy face downs as well.
Nice. Yeah.
Yeah, very good card. I'd say this is almost auto-include as well for Six Samurais. Now we have the 3 weak ones. The 3 weak Six Samurais. These are N rarities. Uriza is 1,500 Earth type, and its ability is it gets to attack directly as long as there's a different Six Samurai on the field. So it's got some poke ability, I guess, but yeah, that's it.
Yeah, you probably don't need that because you're trying to control the board through either removing their guys or by just attacking into them and floodgating them and whatever. But I guess unless they're all just face down floodgates and too big and blocking, like they're basically you don't need the poke potential. There's no reason for it, so he just has low attack.
Yep. Nisashi is wind, 1,400, 700. Its abilities, it gets to attack twice during each battle phase. So, same thing. It's win more, but, how much do you want to attack with a 1,400 guy twice, I guess?
Yeah, this is one that would not help you gain the board, but only help you once you already have it and kind of like close them out, I guess, in one turn earlier or something, which, like you said, is a very win more type card. So that's kind of just for the listeners who don't know, that's a common phrase in card games, especially as far as I know, where it doesn't mean that you win more often. It means that you win harder, which is intended to mean that the card is not good because it doesn't matter how severely you win. You can win by 100 life points or you can win by no damage victory. It doesn't matter. You can overkill them 1,000,000. You don't really get too much extra. I guess we get a bigger duel assessment, but that doesn't matter for your PvP game. So when you say win more, it means that this is a card that you don't need. It only helps when you're already going to win the game.
That's a great explanation.
Thank you.
And the more useful of these bad ones is Kaman. He is Kaimon. I don't know how you say this guy's name. 1,500 attack, 1,000 defense, fire. And his abilities, you could destroy one face-up spell or trap each turn. So this has more potential than the previous two. In if fields or ancient gears or something with a face-up magic card is used, this is decent.
Yeah.
And he has some attack. He has like 1,500. That's something, I guess.
Yeah. And it means they would never pay for mirror wall and stuff when he's out. So
yep.
That's something.
Yep. So those are the 6 samurais. Let's move on to Hazy Flame. Up until now, we only had Sphinx as the only Hazy Flame card, and they kind of had to use other fire monsters in Beast Rising and Aroma's strategy. And now, this set kind of opened up Hazy Flame to a whole new, a lot more potential. So, let's talk about the cards. Hazy Flame Perryton. It is 1,600 attack, 1,700 defense, 6 stars. Oh, all of the Hazy Flames are 6 stars, so that's kind of like their thing, I guess. So this is pretty weak for 6 stars. It's a Pyro. Can't be special summoned, except by a Hazy Flame monster's effect. Your opponent can't target this card, which is the same as any Hazy Flame. You can send one fire monster from your hand to the graveyard and tribute this card. Special summon 2 Hazy Flame monsters from your deck. You can only use this effect once per turn.
So this is a really cool effect for, I guess, building your board, but considering how all of the various ways that you have to set it up, it is unlikely to have a huge impact because we only have 3 slots anyway. So, the dream is that you can just keep recycling your guys. You use this one to get out the Hazy Flame Sphinx, and then you use that one to recur this one, and then you, I guess, maybe tribute you guys for various effects, and then you can use this one to get back 2 more, and all the while you are just abusing all of this recycling and free summons, and at the same time, thinning your deck and stuff. So It's a really cool effect, and just like the dancer that we talked about earlier, it's the type of thing that really like appeals to me and just sounds really cool. But I'm not sure if it's going to be super impactful in this game.
The next card is Hazy Flame Cerberus. Am I saying it right? Cerberus.
I think probably Cerberus.
Cerberus, yeah. That's
the mythical dog.
2,000 attack, 200 defense beast. 6 stars. You can normal summon it without tributing, but its original attack becomes 1,000. Can't be targeted. When this card is destroyed and sent to the graveyard, you can add 1 hazy card from your deck to your hand. So it's hazy, monster, or trap, or spell.
Yeah, I mean, tutor effects are really cool. The fact that you've got this utility to either play it as a normal summon or as a tribute for more attack, also really cool. Sometimes you would play it even though it's really weak as a normal summon because you can protect it, and then you need to tribute the next turn for your other Hazy Flame guys who, like you said, are all 1 tribute monsters. So I could definitely see some use for this guy in that deck. It'd be interesting to see.
Yeah, people are saying this was the best one, so...
Yeah.
Yep. Hazy Flame Manticore, 2,200 attack, 300 defense. Can't be targeted. Once per turn, during either player's turn, you can send 1 fire monster, except for this card, from your hand or face up from your side of the field to the graveyard. This card can't be destroyed by card effects if that happens. So this is the least useful one, I think. It's just a beater.
Yeah.
2,200 attack beater.
Yeah, I mean, I guess it could be useful to be protected from removal, but I don't think the cost is super worth it, minus the fact that, like we just talked about, you're going to have all of these ways to recycle cards, and so it's kind of like the cost is almost 0 because you have so many extra guys. So it could find a way to see some use there, but I don't think so. I don't think it's worth the deck slots, even if you can get those extra tributes to cost nothing.
Rip.
Yeah.
And the trap card, Hazy Glory, is a continuous trap card. You can normal summon Hazy Flame monsters for 1 less tribute, so they all come out for free, basically. You can send this card face up from the field to the graveyard to target 1 hazy card in your graveyard except for Hazy Glory and add it to your hand.
So this card is so good. The ability to summon all your hazy guys without tributes is like the key to the deck. So when I played Hazy Flame, which is why I'm the one who's been a chatty Cathy about all of these because I used to play this deck a lot, you would have to devote significant portions of the deck to like Soul Exchange and to various cards that protect your Hazy Flames, to protect your 4-star monsters, because you'd be running, Sergeant Electros and the Heavy Knight of Flame and stuff, and you'd have to protect your guys because the whole deck revolves around a 1 tribute monster. So everything in the deck that isn't kind of part of that engine is trying to set it up so that you can play this 1 tribute guy. So you've got those soul exchanges, you've got the protections, you've got maybe even some traps that make monsters so that you can just play it as a tribute. And basically there's just a lot of effort put into being able to play your Hazy Flame, which was also a negative tempo play because tribute summons are a little bit slow. And you can't build the board at the same time, minus the fact that the Hazy Flame ability lets you do that. But this trap lets you kind of avoid all of that, and it has secondary uses if you get multiple copies of it. So I really like this card, and it got me excited to buy this set through. We mentioned at the beginning that I was like unsure of what I wanted to do with my gems, but after reading kind of the recap, I was like, yeah, I'm going to buy this set. So I'm a little excited. I'm definitely going to try that out.
So with this card, would you run like 2 or 3 of these in a deck?
I'm not sure.
Good idea.
Yeah, I'd have to try it out, see what I want to do. Definitely at least 2, but 3 would make sense as well, maybe. So I'm gonna have to try it out, see what I like. I'm thinking probably 2.
Yep. And the good thing is like these cards are either R's or N's, so it's pretty easy to get them to automatically to start on your upgrading your Hazy Flame decks.
Yeah, there you go.
The following card I like irrationally a lot for an N card. I sent you a picture once I saw it. It's a counter trap called Heroes Rule 2. Negate the activation of a spell, trap, or effect monster that's effect targets a card in the graveyard and you destroy it. It just seems really good for an N, and just as a tech card, it has so much utility with any monster that recycles, like Cyber Angel, Zombies, the Creator, Red Eyes, I guess, works. And there are even spells and traps like Machine Angel Ritual, Powerful Rebirth, Spirit, Birthright, Supervise. It seems like it's very useful.
Yeah, I mean, all those things that you list is true. It's got some good uses there, but it's not like it's a very specific card. It's useless outside of those uses,
right.
and those are a good amount of uses, but it seems like the type of card that would be like in a sideboard. Like you wouldn't play this in your deck in normal PvP, but it's funny because when you sent it to me, I thought you were like memeing or something. I thought you were trying to give me a message that I didn't understand. I was like, yeah, Heroes Rule, cool.
I thought this was going to be the end of Cyber Angel. Because it counters that Dakini effect, that recycle ability.
Yeah.
Oh, well.
Have you tried it? Has it been the end of Cyber Angels?
No, I'm playing like 6 Samurai, so I can't fit it in. But, like, I don't see this going away. Like, I see it just being in, like, a tournament as, like, a tech card, just being around.
Yeah, I think the tournaments, after we had the official World Champs, the tournaments have shifted from a format in which you had sideboards to formats in which you had multiple decks instead. And so I think it's weaker in those formats because it has potential to be a useless card. But,
right.
If you know the meta well and you know like that one of the decks that almost everyone's bringing is going to be Cyber Angels, for instance, then sure, you can maybe count on that enough to play this in one of your decks.
I'll make a vow right now. I'm going to use this card sometime during PvP this month.
Okay. You've made your vow.
And so that's the whole set. Overall, not the best set, but it does push some new archetypes, and it has some useful cards. And it's just a mini box, so buy at your own caution.
Yeah. As we talked about, the 6 Samurai are okay. Hazy Sphinx never really got above tier 2, but it's always been a fun deck, so there's some decent stuff in here. It's funny because I was the opposite of Duel Links meta, in that when I initially saw this set, I was like, oh, well, here's another set that I don't really want to buy. But then now that we've talked about it, I'm a little bit more excited about it. I'm going to try out some of these new things, so that's cool.
Yeah, it's definitely a box you don't have to buy a ton. Like, you could just buy one round and it's fine. I think. Yeah.
That's always good, too.
Yep. Hey, Konami might be listening to us. Maybe.
There's the one listener in Japan, right?
Yeah.
It's Konami.
Yep. So the other 4 cards we're going to talk about are a new season ticket rewards. And there's a significant change in that the third SR ticket has been moved up to 120. And there's a new UR ticket that takes the 100 PvP slot. So we have to grind more games. Even though for you, it should be pretty fast with Cyber Angels. Definitely get those games while you can.
I'm going to switch over to Sphinx and stuff, so...
Yeah, maybe the volume is better, so you don't get the King of Games as fast. So you play a worse deck to get more wins.
I mean, there is some benefit to that because not last month, but in October, I guess, I got to King of Games in like 30 games 30? Or something. Yeah. I forget what it was, but then I just didn't even want to play PvP anymore, and so it like dissuaded me from earning the tickets. So yeah, playing a slightly worse deck, making it take longer to get there, has some benefits.
And the UR cards aren't very good at all. They do let you get the red Dark Magician though, so a lot of people like that card.
Style points, I guess.
Yeah. Okay, let's talk about the new ones. The Big Cattle Drive. This is a UR spell. If you control a beast warrior, or a winged beast, draw one card for each of those monsters you control. You can't activate other spells or traps or effects during the turn you activate this card. I can't even get through the card. I'm not saying how bad it is. But they mentioned how good this is for Gladiator Beasts. But the problem is that Murmillo is a staple, and it's a fish, so it doesn't count. You'll be drawing like 2 cards max. If you have Dimikari out, you might have 3, but you probably won the game already. And you can't activate anything else after you play this card, so that's the problem.
Yeah, they're very scared of Pot of Greed, which, makes sense because it was super good. But as a result, they keep giving us these really bad versions of it. I wouldn't play this in Glad Beasts.
Yeah. I don't think I would
anywhere.
even get this. I don't think I'll even spend my ticket on this. Unless I have like 3 of everything.
Yeah, not a very good card.
This is a good card, though. Black Brachios. 1800 attack, 1100 defense dinosaur. When this card's normal summoned, you can target one monster on the field and change its target to face-up defense. So it's like a free econ or security orb on a monster. And it has 1800 attack.
Yeah, great card. Like you said, the dinos like to play big beaters. Obviously, with Dinosaur Kingdom, this becomes one of those. Even nowadays, we have like 1600 attack guys, and then we have like, the 2700 and up guys, or 2400 and up. So it can make a few trades even if you lose your kingdom, but that's kind of unlikely these days anyway. So he's mostly going to be at 2100, and the ability to flip things into defense position means that he can kind of like self-protect by attacking up into a bigger guy that he's switched into defense position, which is obviously going to be weaker for almost every monster that's seen play in PvP. So I really like that. It's a good card. This is the one you were talking about, right, that you needed to get the tickets for?
Yeah, so if you want to get 3 of these, you'll need 120 wins to get your third. I might just start playing it dinosaurs when I get to 60, so I can have 2 of these at least. So that's like a decent number.
Yeah, it seems good.
Tyranno Infinity. This is just a rare. This is a card we've seen in the past. As a mysterious attack and 0 defense. The original attack of this card is the number of banished dinosaurs you have times 1,000. So, dinosaurs don't really have good cards that banish. They do have, I don't know what the cards are called. Survival Instinct, I think. It's one you keep banishing dinosaurs and you gain life points. And there's like another continuous trap card. Fossil Excavation, I believe, is a banish card. So they do have some, but it doesn't fit. It doesn't fit into the, aggro style, I guess.
Right. Yeah, it's a little bit of a weird choice.
Yep.
But you only need... Sorry, how many stars does this guy?
4, so he's a free summon.
Okay, yeah, so you only need 2 banished dinos. So I wonder if there's a way to sneak him into, relevance.
And it's just a rare, so you're probably going to get this card because you probably have all the other rares, most likely. So.
Right, that's what I'm thinking. You might as well get him and then see if you can somehow figure out a way to make him relevant.
Yeah. There's going to be some kind of YouTube deck where he has like 5,000 attack. He just kills you.
I'm thinking there's some potential there. I might be making the YouTube deck.
Oh, nice. And Commander of Swords. This one's actually okay. It's an N ticket trap card. When your opponent draws for their normal draw during the draw phase, they reveal the card. If it's a spell or trap, you can apply one of these effects. Discard all cards they drew, or destroy one spell or trap they control. That's pretty good for an N, I think.
Yeah, it's interesting. It gives you insight into what they've drawn. Obviously, that's value right there, even if you miss. And then if you don't miss, then you get to get the benefit of killing one of their cards. So, that's kind of cool.
Yep. And there's also the minor PvP event, the Stamps. So you have to play 7 duels, I believe. Win or lose, and you get extra rewards, which is great.
Yep, so you and I, since I haven't done it, need to go out there. You, the listener, because I know you, Green Ranger, have. We need to go out there and play.
Yep.
That was all very awkwardly said.
Yeah, you guys go play. Once you finish the water tower, of course, you gotta finish that first, and get all those rewards and listen to all the dialogue and play against all those fish guys, freaky fish guys.
Freaky fish guy.
The Aminotaurus is so funny. He's like, I'll spare you because my heart is as big as the sea.
He's a lover, not a fighter.
Yep. Update to version 2.2 coming on December 6th, so that's soon. It's going to add a button to change between worlds, which is, if you're stumped about that, that's good. Where to obtain to the deck editor. Okay, that's useful because it's in the view cards instead of deck editor, so that's good. Prep for new characters and events. Those are just like data mine guys, I guess, in upcoming events. And other small changes. I think the deck editor upgrade's probably the best change.
Yeah, I remember when they added the where to obtain, I was like, this is awesome. And then I couldn't find it because I only looked at cards in the deck editor. And I think that it was a little weird that it wasn't there to begin with. And it's a good change. Obviously, it's not going to shape the world or anything, but it's a nice little change. And the main thing is just that people need to know that you're going to need to update to 2.2 on December 6th, and usually that requires you to be on like Wi-Fi or whatever.
Yeah. I would like the deck editor to have the names of the cards instead of the picture, because sometimes you don't know what a card is, and it's so small. You kind of have to make out like artwork to tell what a card is. Yeah,
the deck editor can generally use some work. I'm curious to see, and maybe you could tell me if it's any better on the desktop version.
No.
But no.
It's not, no.
That's disappointing then.
You get to use a mouse, so that's...
There you go. That sounds better already, actually.
Yeah. Reminder, the card trader's removing cards on the same day, the 6th. So, check out the cards. So you make sure you get the ones you want, I guess.
Yeah, we talked about them before. There's some that have seen some play in the past and which might be relevant, at the future, like Guardian Angel Joan, or, I don't know, the Twin Barrel Dragon, or not Twin Barrel. Yeah.
Yeah.
Whatever. Twin Barrel Dragon. So there's a couple of decent ones in there. Just take a quick look at the notification in the game, see if there's anything you want, because you've only got a few days left to make sure that you get them.
Yep. Quick note on some data-mined GX characters. They might show up in a future event. They might be playable. Who knows? Cyrus is kind of like the Joey. I mean, he's like really meek, but he kind of like is the duelist who gets better as the show goes on. So it doesn't make sense why he's not there, because he's Jaden's best friend. And it's not like Tristan, but he's like a more important character, I guess. And he plays the Viacroids. I don't know if you're familiar with those cards. They're like the machines with like the googly eyes.
No, I don't know those ones.
They kind of turned me off on Yu-Gi-Oh! It's like, oh, what are these cards? But I don't know if they're good or not. Tyranno Hasselberry, Dino Duelist, Army guy, so he kind of uses like Army phrases. That's kind of annoying sometimes, but I don't know. Bringing dinosaurs to the game is pretty cool, of course. So, more dinosaurs.
Yeah, I wonder, because obviously Rex would like more dinos, but if it's not in his world, does he even know about the more dinos? Or, it's interesting.
And a lot of the cards he plays are actually in the game already, so, I don't know how many dinosaurs we can get. His signature cards are, we got them. We just got some of them, for example. Yeah. And Sartorius. I didn't know he had a last name, but apparently, it's not... In the Wikia, he's just Sartorius, and then in the data mine, he becomes Sartorius Kumar, so I don't know what the deal is there. But, he's the main antagonist of Season 2. Don't Google search him, because he looks kind of scary. He does. He's like a psychic tarot card guy, and he plays Arcana Force cards, which I'm completely unfamiliar with.
Okay. Now I'm Googling him because you told me not to.
Just write Sartorius, yeah. So they're coming to the game. Yeah. And finally, the duel school. Do you have a comment about how he looks?
Yeah. I guess he looks kind of freaky. You know what's funny?
It's something with his eyes, yeah.
It's funny because my he is kind of freaky looking. He looks sick or something. But
Yeah.
my wife and I watched a corny Chinese drama,
Okay.
and he looks kind of like a character from it. So.
Oh, that makes sense. Finally, the duel score. We're going to talk about the pros and cons of rotating formats. So, unlike other card games, Duel Links, and I guess it's like a Yu-Gi-Oh thing, doesn't have a rotating format where certain cards are phased out outside of ban lists. And this means we get to use all the cards released in the game instead of rotating the pool. So, you know a lot about card games. What are the pros and cons of this?
Right. So just to explain a little bit further in case it's unclear, in certain games like Hearthstone, Magic the Gathering, of course, it's been around forever, Pokemon even, what it is you get you get new cards every once in a while at a pretty set schedule, like 3 or 4 sets a year, as opposed to Duel Links where we're kind of just constantly getting new cards. But the main game format, usually like the standard format it's called or something like that, in which all the tournaments are, well, I guess most of the tournaments take place, is using this more limited card pool that's maybe like the 4 most recent sets or like last year's worth of cards or 2 years or something like that. And so what that means is that as new cards come out, some old cards get phased out and you don't get to use them anymore. And the pros of, I had written it in the inverse. So let's say the pros of the Yu-Gi-Oh system is that your cards have lasting value. Of course, they never rotate out. So you get to play them for as long as you want to. And you also hypothetically need to buy fewer cards because the cards that you have, you can use them forever, and if they're still good or if you are good with them, then you can play them forever. And a lot of people don't like losing the value of their cards where the cards rotate. So even in the games where they have the rotating formats, they usually have at least one format in which you can just, like free-for-all, you can use all the cards or whatever. But the problem is that when you have so many cards in the card pool, it's hard to balance it. You need a lot of power creep to combat the staleness. So we've seen this a lot in Duel Links already, where cards that were URs in the first set are now completely useless and have actually been useless for like a while, where they were just vanilla 1700 attackers. And the reason for that is that every set needs to one-up the previous set to be relevant, or else nobody will buy the new set. And so obviously they're not, doing this as a charity. They want to make sales. They want you to buy the new cards, and you want to buy new cards because otherwise you get bored. And so if the old cards are never leaving, then you need to constantly make better and better cards to have any desire to do that. And that's kind of caused an issue in Duel Links, I think, where they made cards that were too good out of order, and as a result, these more recent sets are, I think, getting fewer sales. And personally, the reason why I brought it up as a topic to talk about this week is because I have been at the gem cap for a while now, and it's because the last 2 sets there was pretty much no competitive reason for me to buy the cards. I got them because I was interested in memeing around, trying out some new stuff, just to combat some staleness and to talk about it on the show. But like in terms of actually competing, I could just play Cyber Angels and Red Eyes still. And Red Eyes has been a long time now. And if you had rotation, then you would have less need to make better and better cards every set. And so there would be less of this risk where there's no reason to buy the newest set. And the last benefit is that it's easier for new players when there's a rotation schedule because there's fewer cards that they need to get. You know, if you ever look up a deck that you want to play and you're like, okay, we were just talking about it with Cyber Angels a little bit, where you need to go back and you need to buy these really old sets to get the good version of it. And then the worst is when you look at this new deck that you want to try out, and it has these really exciting cards from this new set, but then you need 3 cards from this other set, and you need 2 cards from yet another set, and then another set of cards from a 4th set. And all of a sudden, in order to play this one deck, which is 80% just new cards and this really cool new interaction, you need to have played for either the whole time, as we have, so it affects us less,
Right, yeah.
or you need to go back and buy through these other sets a bunch of times. And it's especially exacerbated in Duel Links, where there's no crafting or trading system, so you have to just buy through this whole set, 200 packs or whatever, to get these cards. So it makes it a little bit harder to make the new content good but not broken, and the balance is a little bit off because you need to balance so many new cards as the game goes on. We keep releasing 1 million cards. This game's only been out for a year, and we've already gone through a whole new world. And basically all of that amounts to, I think, an issue with sales. And I think it will end up affecting them at some point. And I don't know what's going to happen, but I think there's going to be some change made where I don't think I'm the only one who has less incentive to buy the more recent sets, because they've made these really good cards in the Cyber Angels and Red Eyes for free, and also because people just don't feel like trying out new stuff if the new stuff requires the old stuff that they don't have, because that's just too much of an investment. So those are kind of just a little bit of a rant, I guess, but a pros and cons as to the system that we're currently using versus the system that almost every other card game has. All of the other ones that I've played, I think, have some sort of rotating pool, especially if they've been around for longer than a year or two. So I think that it's either that or they're going to have to more frequently make bans and restrictions and stuff. Right. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah, one thing I can think of that's different is Yu-Gi-Oh! Has 1 million network synergies. In Hearthstone, when GVG rotated out, no one played mechs anymore. And let's say in Yu-Gi-Oh! There's just some card from an old set, like Ice Barriers. Let's say, what set was it? Electric Overload. Let's Electric Overload rotates out. You can't play Ice Barriers anymore. And I don't know if they want people to lose that feeling of they can't play an archetype anymore or something.
Yeah, I mean, that's definitely the concern. That's why they don't do it. I think they prefer to add content to address problems as opposed to removing content. It just feels bad to lose stuff that you, especially if you spent real money on it. It just feels really bad that you don't get to play that anymore. So they want to avoid that feeling, but I think it might be better for the game overall to suck that up and let it happen.
And another thing is, it might just be the Yu-Gi-Oh! Philosophy to not do it, because that's how the TCG, I mean, it's been going on forever, and, you never see cards from the past at all, and there's a lot of power creep, obviously. We see it in Duel Links, and that just might be their philosophy. And it also, the non-crafting Duel Links is different. I don't think it calls itself a digital card game. It has a different name, but it's more like simulating buying cards at the store, not being able to buy the one you want, and obviously not having that currency, automatically does that, and no trading. It's kind of like you're doing your own thing, and that just might be their philosophy.
Yeah, I mean, that's a good point. I don't think that they're going to implement a rotation method because that's not what Yu-Gi-Oh does, like you said. I think they're going to find some other way to make some solution, or their solution's going to be just to double down on what they're doing now and just make more power creep and stronger cards every set. Um, but then they're going to get those cries about co-money and whatnot, and
Yeah,
power creep,
yeah,
of course. And so it's kind of a balancing act on their part of what they think is the better, or maybe the lesser of two evils, or the better solution. Either way you want to look at it. Um, the final thing, though, is that I'm also not. I also don't think they're going to do rotation because they haven't designed the game with rotation in mind. So one of the things that always happens with the game when you switch over to a rotation schedule is that if you didn't build the game with the rotations initially in mind, you're going to lose some really important stuff. And so a lot of games will do like a core set or something where you can have the rotation, but you maintain these core cards that you think are kind of central to maybe the game's identity or character identity or something like that. And so it'd be interesting if maybe like Ultimate Rising became a core set and then everything else
right.
rotated or something like that. And that would mean that Ultimate Rising would always be available, and then the other stuff was the stuff that rotated. So it'd be interesting to see if they did anything like that. But like you said, it's hard to switch over now because if you want to, your core set would have to have like some ritual support, some polymerization support, all of these various things that have been spread out through all those various sets, where if you rotate one set, you could be just cutting out the knees of a whole bunch of archetypes and stuff, which may or may not be what they want to do.
Yeah, it's definitely interesting to see where the game's going. It's definitely something to think about, even if you never thought about it. And yeah, you're just waiting for the next box to be amazing, right?
Yeah, I guess it's pros and cons to that too, because I like not having to spend gems, but I don't like that they're going to expire, so I want something to spend them on.
Yeah.
A little bit.
So something to think about when you're not playing the game, or when you are.
Yeah.
All right, so that's gonna be it for the show for today. Thanks for listening. Oh yeah, you have a shout out.
Yes, yeah. So two things. One, last week we had issues with, I think it was Skype was the issues,
Yeah.
and luckily this week we've not had those issues. This episode's a little long, so that'll make up for the last week's one being short. And apologies for whatever issues, but we're blaming Skype because it seems like it wasn't our fault. And
Nope.
my shout out is to my friend Will, who was that real life person who said that he plays as well, and who I know is probably going to be catching this one. At the very least, he indicated he would. So welcome to him and to all of our other new listeners.
All right. You can find this on the App Store, Google Play, Stitcher, and other podcasting searching things. Check out the podcast and more at our website, theduelassessment.wordpress.com. We have a YouTube channel where this very podcast would be recorded and put up on YouTube. If you want to help support us, buy packs and other things like what we're doing, patreon.com/duel_assessment. Send us an email to duelassessment@gmail.com, or you can find us on Twitter, duel_assessment, me at GreenRanger HS, and DeckTech at HS DeckTech.
Yep, Twitter works if you don't feel like emailing because people don't really email anymore. You can also send us DMs and stuff.
DMs. Slide into your DMs with some
Yeah.
Yu-Gi-Oh. Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah. All right. So yeah, play the game, buy the packs if you want, and have fun.
See you guys next week.